The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
Hey everybody, welcome to Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. It's a Wednesday night edition, and we have got a jam-packed show for you tonight. So much going on, so little time to get it all in. We'll do the best that we can. Clemson had another scrimmage today at Death Valley, their second and final of the preseason. So we'll hear from Dabo Swinney. We'll also hear from Gamecock running back Marshawn Lloyd as he is getting ready for what he hopes will be his breakthrough season carrying the football for South Carolina. Will he get enough carries? Will he be the primary man in the backfield carrying the football? Or will it be running back by committee with the Gamecocks? They've got several candidates back there that can run the football behind an experienced offensive line. We shall see on that. Also tonight, Gary Stokan, who is the president of the Chick-fil-A Bowl, and as such, man who oversees the Chick-fil-A kickoff games, he'll join us at 6:30 to talk about the matchups coming up in Atlanta. Of course, our focus on Clemson and Georgia Tech, opening the season on Monday night of Labor Day night. So Gary will share what's going on there. Of course, that game is already a sellout, though they've reduced the size of the seating inside the Mercedes Dome there in downtown Atlanta. We'll touch on recruiting as well. And it's an SC Wild Night here on Sports Talk. The Major Billy Downer will join us at 7:30. He wants to talk deer hunting because deer hunting season is upon us in the zones in South Carolina. So if you're a deer hunter and you have a question, a comment, an observation, a bone to pick with DNR, well, this is the man with whom to pick a bone. And that would be the Major Billy Downer. He'll be with us at 7:30, and you can reach him. Our phone number, as always, here on Sports Talk is 888-898-2525. That is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. We have Chris Bergen with us from the Berge Palace in the Great PD, and Pat Daniels back at our studio in Columbia. Pat went over and listened to Gamecock defensive football players meet with the media today. We'll get his thoughts in a moment. I'm still in Chicago. Be back on Friday. And Chris, you took in the Dabo Swinney post-scrimmage visit with the media from afar. You listened to everything he had to say. So anything of major importance related to injuries, performance, starting jobs, losing jobs, anything like that come out of the conversation?
He said actually today the defense was a little bit better than the offense, which you kind of anticipated would be the case after it appeared the offense had a better first scrimmage. So you had to raise the bar for the defense and lower the bar just a touch for the offense. Said everybody, I think, has come out pretty healthy other than the guys we already knew. Outside of that, he said something that I thought was a little bit interesting, and I don't know if he actually believes it. And if he does, look out. But he said that the quarterback room that Clemson presently has, which of course encompasses DJ Uyunglele and Cade Klubnik to sort of the headliners, but also Hunter Johnson. He said that is the that is the most talented group of quarterbacks they have ever had since he's been at Clemson. He said, quote, "We've never had a quarterback room like this. This is top to bottom the best room we've had of guys that can go play and win."
Now, and I call BS on that.
I do too, because
we're
talking about two of the generational quarterbacks that have just gone through that program, and Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. Now, if he's talking top to bottom, did it really matter that nobody was behind Trevor Lawrence to push him or Deshaun Watson, because those guys were so good? I find that really hard to believe, but that is what he said today, that they have the most talented group of quarterbacks he has ever had at Clemson as their head coach.
Well, first of all, you go back to Deshaun Watson, and there really was nobody else in there really to compete with Deshaun Watson. You go to Trevor Lawrence, remember, he started out behind Kelly Bryant. And so you had Kelly Bryant and Trevor Lawrence in the same quarterback room there for a while until Kelly decided to transfer. And Kelly went on, of course, to be a starter at his next stop as well at Missouri with hopes of getting to the NFL, but that didn't work out for him. So I don't know. Dabo has a way of using words and building people up. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The stuff I've read, and we mentioned this last night, but stuff I've read from Clemson insider types, there is still concern about DJ Uiagalelei throwing the football and throwing it effectively, and especially with a couple of receivers. Bo Collins has been out. E.J. Williams has been out. They're missing critical practice time with him. And some of the younger guys, they've got some some talent and a great future ahead of them. But are they ready to step up? Where's the timing? Where is Uiagalelei in terms of improving, putting the ball where it has to be? Where are the receivers in terms of getting separation from defenders to give Uiagalelei more of a room for error in throwing the football? I noticed in their scrimmage this past Saturday, you had, according to reports from the insiders on Tiger Illustrated, Paul Strelo and Larry Williams, and I mean, look, they're as locked in, tight in as anybody up there. I mean, they said Uiagalelei, according to their sources, threw one right in the chest of a safety, and Cade Klubnik threw three right into the arms of defenders. Two of them were dropped. So a couple of picks there. I think there were a couple of more picks today in the scrimmage.
Pride and Wiggins both had interceptions today.
So my point is, I could be totally wrong here, and I could be totally missing the point. Of course, we're all in the dark until we see him play against Georgia Tech. And is Uiagalelei going to come out and light it up? Is he going to have to? Is it going to be more of a lean on the running game with this Clemson offense, especially as they're looking at starting a freshman at right tackle in Blake Miller if they decide to go in that direction?
Now, the other interesting thing that Dabo said, and this is every college coach, isn't it? You're middle of August. You expect it to be hot and miserable and humid. And he was talking today about Camp Kool-Aid. That's what he has called Clemson's camp thus far because of the way the weather has been the past couple of days. He said it'll be like 100 degrees when we face Furman here in a couple of weeks. So the coaches aren't happy about the cooler weather we've had down here. Phil, another day, since you're up in Chicago, I bet the temperatures here in South Carolina probably rival what you're getting up in Illinois today. And if not warmer up there, because once again, we had another day in the 70s here in the state.
Yeah, I think it was a little warmer up here today, but again, there's no humidity. But keep in mind, Clemson's opening game is going to be indoors.
Sure.
So they're going to be playing at 72 degrees, or maybe even less than that, or right around that figure. But yeah, it should be warm when they play Furman. But I mean, their depth and everything should help them deal with the Paladins. Yeah. Right. So again, I think that there is a question mark here about how good Clemson's going to be in the passing game until it's proven otherwise. Meantime, in Columbia, Pat, they paraded out a bunch of defensive players to the media today to talk about practice, and you were in on that for us. And what did you take away from what the Gamecock defensive players had to say? Anything stand out to you in particular?
First thing that sticks out to me, and I realize this is preseason. I realize you would find this in a lot of camps right now getting ready for the season, but confidence. In years past, when I've had the pleasure of going in and speaking with these guys and listening to these guys and then just being on the show and hearing it, I don't think I've ever heard Gamecock defensive players with the level of confidence I heard from these guys today. And it wasn't just from one or the other. Marcellus Dial really stood out to me and just what he was speaking in regard to the secondary, even with the departure of players such as Jalen Samuels. He made it sound like they're not going to skip a beat. And if anything, they might be better this year than last year. Jordan Burch looked bigger than I've seen him. The first time, admittedly, I've seen him in person since last season, but he's put on some weight and some good weight. He looked really good out there. Debo Williams spoke about how now in his second year after coming down from Delaware, how much more comfortable he feels out there with the team and with the defense than he did a year ago. And Gilbert Edmond was just alluding confidence as well, sophomore, that things are expected of him this year, maybe in the two deep set to get some more meaningful minutes this season as well. So just every single player, all 7 players that came out today were just oozing with confidence. And I feel like in years past, it's been more of a, we hope to be better this year. This year, they acted as though they know they're going to be better. And that stood out.
Yeah, just so that listeners aren't confused, I think you meant Jaylen Foster, the departed safety back there that they will be missing, and they're trying to replace. Of course, they've got a veteran player, a guy that was really good at the next level of football, the lower level, after below Power 5, in Reed, and they're hoping he's going to step in and fill that void. And But Foster had that special year last year, just one of those guys that always seemed to be around the football, Chris. And there was a ball tipped. If the tip drill needed to come into play, he seemed to be there. Great hands, great scooping ability, 5 interceptions back there. And they were very good. And it was weird about South Carolina last year. They were very good at turning opponents over. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, they were very poor at holding on to the football themselves. I mean, they were like last in the SEC in fumbles lost.
Yeah, they were terrific in the back end. I think Torian Gregg deserves a lot of credit for turning what looked like a weakness going into the beginning of the season into a strength of that football team. But you're right. They did a terrific job of forcing turnovers. And, I mean, you're talking about a team that got 15 interceptions last year, though they threw 11. But they did a terrific job back there. And it's going to be hard. You can't count on turnovers as part of your defensive game plan. You can always preach them. We need to knock the ball loose. Let's get fumbles. Let's get after pass. Let's get a good pass rush so we can get interceptions. You can't count that, though. You can't expect that. And to the degree that South Carolina had last year, just a +4 on the interceptions alone, not to mention the amount of fumbles and the like they got last year. So you can't expect that, especially with guys like Foster being gone. But nonetheless, I think that secondary is definitely a strength of this team.
All right, our phone number, 888-898-2525. That is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. Since 2002, more than $829 million in lottery proceeds have been used to fund lottery tuition assistance for students attending technical colleges in South Carolina. You can learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at seducationlottery.com/educationwins. And playing for fun is a win for education. We'll hit the break on Sports Talk. If you want to join us, give us a call, 888-898-2525, the number. We'll update some other notes from the day. I'll try to figure out how the Yankees can score more than a single run in a game. My goodness. They have
just don't trade them just don't trade over to the Mets. Let the Mets not score runs either. Braves playing their way right back into contention right now.
Yeah, Yankees playing their way out of, a lock in their division, which is starting to slip away. I'll be right back. Hi, this is Phil Kornblut of Sports Talk here with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. What words of wisdom do you have for those hitting the water this summer?
Phil, collisions can be prevented easily if every vessel operator fulfills 3 major responsibilities. 1, practice good seamanship. It's the responsibility of every boat or PWC operator to take all necessary action to avoid a collision. 2, keep a proper lookout. Failing to keep a sharp lookout is the most common cause of boating collisions. And finally, maintain a safe speed. Remember, boat safe, boat smart.
Summer weather has arrived in South Carolina, and you know what that means. Sweet, tasty South Carolina peaches are hitting shelves near you. Most people tend to think of Georgia as the peach state, but South Carolina is the East Coast's top producing peach state, so we know a thing or two about a great tasting peach. The next time you're in the grocery store or local farmer's market, keep an eye out for those sweet, tasty, certified SC peaches. Discover more about the tastier peach state at scpeach.org.
Founders Federal Credit Union knows your life is busy and your money is important. We are proud to offer local personalized services and convenient online services like Founders Online and the Founders app. You'll love being with us as much as we love serving you. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our 37 convenient locations to see if you qualify for membership with Founders. Relax, win with Founders. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
Hey, this is Major Billy Downer with DNR, and coming up tonight at 7:30, another edition of SC Wild on the Sports Talk Radio Network.
It all builds up to this at Darlington Raceway.
If you're going to kick off the playoffs,
good stop, guys.
Why not do it big?
Green flag is up.
Like Labor Day weekend big.
Get in your car here. That's how you make a move.
Like Southern 500 big. The only thing bigger than the action would be the experience of seeing it live. And that
I got into the wall.
Might just be too tough to take.
Bring it home, bring it home.
NASCAR Playoffs weekend at Darlington Raceway, September 3rd through the 4th. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
Gary Stoken from the Chick-fil-A Bowl, the kickoff game, will be joining us a little bit later on. That would be the Peach Bowl Chick-fil-A Kickoff Classic, joining us at the bottom of the hour. I've known Gary a long time. Appreciate him coming on board with us tonight. We'll hear from Dabo Sweeney as well. Marshawn Lloyd of the Gamecocks. It's an SC Wild night as well tonight with Major Billy Downer talking about deer hunting in South Carolina. I almost picked off 3 the other night. I had 3 run out in front of me on 501 heading to Myrtle Beach, Garden City.
Oh, yeah,
I had
no
3
doubt.
of them run across the road. They were a good 150 feet ahead of me, so I had an opportunity not to hit them. So
Just don't ask him about alligators again. I don't know what your how paranoid you are about alligators. But, I mean, you asked Shane Beamer about alligators the other day.
What did you hear about the poor lady at Sun City the other day?
I saw the tweet you sent over to me, yes. I mean, I know they're there. I mean, they're part of South Carolina's animal population.
Well, I mean, that's 2 in South Carolina this year that have been fatalities when it comes to alligators. And we've had 2 shark bites along the Myrtle Beach coast in the last couple of days. So I think the major needs to address these issues and do something about it.
So basically, your response to this is just stay inside. Don't go to the beach. Don't get in the water. Certainly don't dare to wander into the swamps. Just stay at home.
Absolutely, unless you've got a rifle in your hand and something to beat them down with. I mean, my goodness, that was a 9.5-foot gator too. So very sad story. Obviously, not making light of the situation.
Absolutely.
Very sad story down there. But we will touch on that with the major. But he'll quickly steer us into deer hunting. I can promise you that. A couple of other things to talk about. The phone number 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. Love to hear from you tonight while we have some opportunity. We got a lot of things to come your way. USC women now know their SEC basketball schedule for the coming season. So the Gamecocks will play their first league game December 29th at home against Texas A&M. Then they'll go to Georgia on January 2nd, home to Auburn on January 5th, then a road game at Mississippi State January the 8th. It'll continue with a trip to Kentucky. So Mississippi State and Kentucky back-to-back. They come home to Missouri, go to Vanderbilt, home to Arkansas, close out January at Alabama. In February, they open up on the 2nd, home to Kentucky. Then they go to Auburn, LSU at home. They get Florida at home. Then they go to Ole Miss. They go to Texas.
Tennessee.
That's Tennessee. I'm sorry. Yeah, Tennessee. And then they finish up at home at Georgia. So nothing longer than a 2-game homestand, nothing longer than a 2-game road trip for the Gamecocks women's basketball team. Anybody in that group going to give them a battle? You know of anybody else in there that's going to rise up and challenge maybe LSU with their situation
Ryan Howard
down there?
With Ryan Howard gone to Kentucky, I don't know that that's going to be a big challenge, even the road game on January 12th. The LSU home game on February 12th, I will go ahead and say I'm not sure what day that is, but my guess is that's probably going to be an ESPN nationally televised type game because that's 2 of the high-profile programs with 2 of the high-profile coaches in the league. But other than that, I see Carolina going probably 15-1 at worst. 16-0 otherwise at worst. Yeah,
they look loaded. They look loaded for bear once again.
Yeah.
Apparently, the Panthers and Patriots did not get along in their practice today. Did you follow this? Some fights breaking out in their workouts, and players had to be teams had to be called together and basically, I don't know if they were chewed out by their coaches, but basically calmed down by their coaches to stop fighting with one another.
Well, and evidently Christian McCaffrey got involved in one of the little scuffles. And, gosh, I can't remember the last time I've ever seen Christian McCaffrey get his ire up. I think it's kind of good. You know, it's kind of nice to see the Panthers have a little fight in them. Pardon the pun there. But Matt Rule is actually going to go back and look at some of the tape because one of their players, Kenny Robinson, this is his 2nd straight day that he has been involved in a situation. And there's a good possibility, according to Joe Person up in Charlotte, that he's probably going to be cut because of this. But, you know, if I'm a head coach in the NFL, when you're practicing against these guys, I think that's some of what you want. Maybe you don't want it to go past the whistle, but I can't necessarily be upset if my team's showing a little fight out. You know, I don't want to see them throwing punches and haymakers with their helmets, but if they're pushing and shoving and getting a little upset at the other team, I don't necessarily have a problem with that.
The part that got dangerous today, sorry, Phil, the part that got dangerous today, though, was when the fight boiled over into the fans, and you saw,
Whoa.
yeah, then you started. I saw highlights of that and started immediately thinking back to, of course, what was it, the Rumble in the Palace, whatever, the whole Ron Artest thing years and years ago. Now, of course, it did not get to that level, but you did have what looked like a big rugby scrum of 15 or so players. The best part was they're all wearing those silly little caps, but they're wearing those little caps, little diaper-looking things on their head, and they're all just fighting each other and then spilling out into where these little kids and parents are. And that's where it gets really, really bad.
So, McCaffrey was taken down hard, apparently. He took umbrage to that and threw the football at the Patriots player who flattened him. And then Hubbard apparently got a little crazy, and he was kicked out of practice. So it got a little testy there between the look, the Panthers are trying to stand their ground, and who better than to do that against than the Patriots? Stand your ground and show people you're not going to be pushed around this year. Got a new quarterback they're kind of excited about, and we'll see. But, McCaffrey, he doesn't need to get injured in practice or the preseason or any point in time if this offense, as we've seen, if this offense is going to do anything, he has got to stay on his feet and be available for this team. Let's see what else. Former Sumter High defensive end Miles Capers suffered a season-ending injury today. Tough blow for Vanderbilt here. This was announced by Coach Clark Lee, and he says they feel terrible for Capers, going to miss the entire season with a knee injury suffered in practice. Will have surgery. He redshirted last year playing in the final 4 games. Was going to take on a bigger role this year. So, young man out of Sumter High School. I remember him coming out of high school. And sorry to hear he has got this setback. Poll question of the week. We continue to add more and more votes to this. And you can, of course, go to our Twitter at SportsTalk SC and vote on it. It's pinned at the top of the list there. And it is basically, will Clemson be one of the 4 playoff teams in 2022? A little bit of a resurgence on the positive side here. The yeses gaining a little more ground. So it's out of 326 votes, 63.5% say no, 36.5% say yes. I think some of our votes from the upper state precincts are starting to be counted now, coming in a little slow from the Oconee and
finally got the Pickens County ballot box in. Huh?
Yeah, Oconee, Pickens, Greenville, Anderson counties, all up there getting their votes in now. So they've cut into that a little bit, 63.5 to 36.5. And we got more talk here about the future of college football. Pete Themmel reporting today, presidents and chancellors of the College Football Playoffs Board of Managers had a brief discussion Monday about major college football operating under a governance that would be outside of the NCAA. Apparently they did this via Zoom, and this could, of course, reshape the future of college sports. Multiple sources telling ESPN that these individuals briefly discussed the possibility of restructuring how college football is governed, with the idea presented of major college football potentially being governed outside the NCAA. The most logical place for the sport to be run would be under the auspices of, well, it says the CFP, but that means ESPN.
Right.
You know, all this has ESPN's fingerprints all over it. And, of course, you have
though Fox is going to want to get involved in this, I think, now too, Phil. The amount of money they're throwing at the Big Ten, I think they're going to want to have a say in this. I don't disagree that ESPN is probably spearheading this, but I think Fox and maybe even NBC are going to want to have some say in how this plays out.
Yeah, and the grand poobah of it all, Greg Sankey of the SEC, of course. Now, he wants to take over the NCAA basketball tournament as well. And
he needs to
leave that alone. Apart. He wants to rip that apart and, probably somehow manage a way to get all what will be 16 SEC teams, get all of them in the NCAA basketball tournament if he can. I really think Greg Sankey's goal is to be the overseer of all college sports. I really think that's in the back of his mind via his position right now of SEC commissioner. But I believe through the SEC and through the role and through the power he has and the position they have with the TV networks, I personally think that's what he's trying to do. We'll hit the break. Be back in a moment.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy, but no overnight showers expected. The low dips to 67. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy again. Rain chances increase to 40%. Some afternoon and evening storms. And we stay cool with the high temp reaching just 79. Friday will be a wet day with 81 the high and showers on and off all day. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather. When you're a military veteran with over 40,000 organizations trying to help you, it can be hard to find the right information. That's why AARP brings together valuable resources to help you navigate your options. AARP.org/veterans. With the free veteran employment and fraud prevention resources, caregiving tools, and access to discounts, AARP, on a mission to support veterans. Visit AARP.org/veterans today.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting a bombing at a mosque in the Afghan capital of Kabul during evening prayers on Wednesday killed at least 10 people, including a prominent cleric, and wounded at least 27. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the attack, the latest to strike the country in the year since the Taliban seized power. Several children were reported to be among the wounded. Federal Reserve officials saw signs that the U.S. economy was weakening at their last meeting, but still called inflation unacceptably high before raising their benchmark interest rate by a sizable 0.75 of a point in their drive to slow spiking prices. In minutes from their July meeting, the policymakers said they expected the U.S. economy to expand in the second half of 2022. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 171 points. The Nasdaq dropped 164. More details at srnnews.com.
If you're an avid shooter or you're new to shooting, Shooter's Choice is your paradise. A firearms specialty store with all types of firearms, ammunition, accessories, AR platform rifles, shotguns, hunting rifles, and much more. Shooter's Choice has the largest and best selection of firearms in the area. Shooter's Choice is the oldest, the most professional firearms dealer in the Midlands. They've served us for more than 30 years. Family owned, they've never let themselves lose that hometown feel. You go into Shooter's Choice, you'll get experts who hunt and shoot. It's not like some big box store. Their staff has decades of experience. You just won't get this anywhere else. From the classics to the newest cutting-edge products anywhere in the firearms world, they buy, sell, and trade firearms. They have an indoor firing range for handguns and hunting rifles. If you don't want to spend the gas money, hop on shooterschoicesc.com and shop online 24/7. Whatever you choose, Shooter's Choice will make it easy on you. In West Columbia at 944 Sunset Boulevard or online, shooterschoicesc.com. Make it your first choice, your best choice. Make it Shooter's Choice.
Gas prices, grocery prices, inflation has hit us all, and it's caused the Fed to raise interest rates. As a result, after historically low mortgage rates for what seemed like forever, interest rates for a mortgage have jumped in recent months. Fran Halloran here. Let me make something clear to you. Mortgage rates are rising. They may continue to rise as the Fed tries to get a grip on inflation. What hasn't changed is the incredible customer service you'll get from Greg McCoy and Simplified Mortgage Solutions. Greg can't control interest rates. He can, however, control fees. With rates on the rise, now more than ever, you need to know you're getting the very best deal. Greg will make sure of that. He's more than just a mortgage guy. Greg McCoy is your trusted advisor. You might be surprised to learn how much Simplified Mortgage and Greg McCoy can do to help you with your biggest financial investment. Not sure? Have questions? Give Greg a call at Simplified Mortgage, 803-722-6044, or find him online at simplifiedmortgagesc.com. Greg McCoy, NMLS 119871.
You know what? I get asked every now and then, Kev, when you say my guy, do you really have a my guy at Palmetto Exterminators? Oh, I really do. Ron Byers is my guy. Do you realize I've been a customer of Palmetto Exterminators for 20 years this summer? That's over the course of 3 homes, longer than my kids have been around. I'm loyal to Palmetto Exterminators for several reasons. First, they do a phenomenal job with pest control for a very fair price. It's just not a concern around my home. They take care of everything from regular visits to termite inspection, mosquito care. This is a company that's been around for more than 60 years serving the Midlands. When they come around, they're clean, they're courteous, and they're on time. Look, it's not just me. When it comes to things like those pesky mosquitoes, Palmetto Exterminators voted best of Columbia in Columbia Metropolitan for their mosquito control. I could have told you that before anyone even voted. What else can you possibly need from your pest control company? If you're looking for someone to help you, look no further than my guy, Ron Byers, Palmetto Exterminators. Online, it's palmettoexterminators.net, or call them 254-5833, 254-5833.
All right, we're back on Sports Talk. Phil Kornbluth, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. I'm still up in Chicago for a couple more days. We have Bergie at his location in the PD, and Pat, the studio's in Columbia. Your call's coming up in a little bit. We'll also hear from Dabo Swinney. Update some recruiting for you as well. Speaking of Clemson, of course, the Tigers getting ready to open the season in Atlanta in the Chick-fil-A kickoff game. And we welcome in good friend of Sports Talk, been with us before. Great to have him back with us once again. Gary Stokan, CEO and president of the Peach Bowl Incorporated, of course, overseeing the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl and the kickoff games as well to start the season. Gary, it's great to have you with us. Welcome into Sports Talk once again.
Well, thanks so much for having us, guys. Phil and Chris, appreciate you guys, and it's always good to talk to you because I know college football is right around the corner.
Mm-hmm. It is indeed, and it's great to have you with us, and great to see how well you've done despite being an NC State graduate. You've done well for yourself.
Well, I've just tried to follow Ray Tanner, and if I can follow his success, I'll be okay.
I know you guys are buds, and you finally arranged in a few years to have the Gamecocks come into Atlanta to play in the kickoff.
Yeah, Ray's a tough negotiator, so I had to go back and use the NC State relationship, and no, Ray has been great. He's always tried to get the Gamecocks in Atlanta because it's a good recruiting base for them. And we were finally able to find an opening in the schedule where we could do it. And ironically enough, with Shane Beamer there to put them against his dad's team in Virginia Tech will be quite a interesting storyline in 2025. And, by that time, I think both South Carolina and Virginia Tech will probably be top 25 teams.
Well, I mean, Gamecock fans would love to have that be the case, if not sooner. They're thinking like right now. They want to get in the top 25. But let's talk about Clemson, and let's talk about Georgia Tech. You've got a Clemson team, which by the AP and by the coaches, ranked in the top 4. You got a Georgia Tech team that's been going through rebuilding the last few years. And, well, they'd love nothing more than to knock off Clemson in front of their fans in the Dome. How do you like this matchup? How do you feel the excitement level starting to build for one of your kickoff games with these two?
Well, first off, it's a great TV slot. It's in the unopposed 8 o'clock primetime ESPN slot when everybody's had their picnic and their barbecue and they just settle in before they got to go to work on Tuesday. And here we got a great game on in Clemson, Georgia Tech with, as you said, Clemson top 5 in the country. And as Dabo would probably tell you, you need to ask him this I know he's coming on later. We've had Clemson in the old Peach Bowl more times than any other team in the country. And ironically enough, when we got into the CFP in 2015, we've yet to have Clemson in our Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. So I know Dabo would like to play in Atlanta twice, one to start the season and one to end the year on December 31st in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl.
Yeah. Hey, listen, for those of us who have to cover Clemson in the playoffs and have wanted them to be in Atlanta, the problem is they're not getting ranked number 1, and they don't get to choose that location, that local location for them. So if they ever get back in that position again to be close to home and play in Atlanta, that would be special for the Clemson fans. What about the other kickoff game you've got this year, Oregon and Georgia? That appears to be an intriguing matchup of the defending national champions. I know you're glad to have them playing in your building, and then you're bringing across the country this Oregon team with their new head coach, Dan Lanning, and a lot of excitement with the Ducks, and you wonder what color uniforms they're going to wear and all that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, 2 top 10 teams, and, with 3 games this year, our 2 Chick-fil-A kickoff and the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl semifinal, 5 of the 6 teams will be ranked in the top 10 that we'll be having in Atlanta. Then you put on top of that the SEC championship game, which those 2 teams will be top 10. It's quite a year for us in college football. So, but, Oregon, the storyline to have Dan Lanning, who is the defensive coordinator on the Georgia National Championship team, gets the head coaching job at Oregon, coming back to face his friend Kirby Smart in his first game ever. And then Bo Nix, who quarterbacked Auburn against Georgia a couple times, goes out to Oregon, transfers, and probably will be Oregon's quarterback against Georgia again. So great storylines, 2 top 10 teams, a Pac-12, with Utah favored. to win the Pac-12, and Georgia and Alabama obviously favored to win East and West and in the SEC. So we couldn't ask for a better 3:30 ABC national TV kickoff, and then to start the ACC season on Monday night in primetime with Clemson and Georgia Tech.
One more quick question, Gary. I know for the Clemson game, they've cut down the size of the stadium in terms of attendance. They've sold it out, but it's not the full seating for the dome there. What about for that Georgia-Oregon game? The same, or is it open for all the seats being sold for that event?
2,000 seats for the Georgia-Oregon game. We even sold out our standing room only for that game. So yeah, that's going to be probably one of the toughest tickets we've ever had, with obviously Georgia coming off a national championship, and Oregon. There'll be a ton of Oregon people there as well, because they're interested in their team, and Dan Lanning is the new coach, and Mario Cristobal has done such a good job recruiting that, as I said, them and Utah are the two favorites on the Pac-12. So great matchup there. And then on the Clemson Georgia Tech, it basically was Georgia Tech's home game that we moved into Mercedes-Benz, and because it's an ACC game, the visiting team only gets 4,000 tickets. So that was the experience that Georgia Tech had in Mercedes-Benz with North Carolina last year was so good that they wanted to keep the same manifest. So that's why we're at 45,000 tickets, which we've sold out that game, and then 72,000 for Georgia-Oregon.
Gotcha.
Gary Stokin, the CEO and president of Peach Bowl Incorporated, with us here tonight on Sports Talk, chatting about the Chick-fil-A kickoff weekend over Labor Day weekend, Oregon, Georgia on September the 3rd, and then Clemson, Georgia Tech on the 5th. And Gary, I hate to rain on your parade, but it's no secret I do not like neutral site regular season games in college athletics across the board. So for someone like me who sees Oregon hosting Georgia or Georgia hosting Oregon in Athens, it's just a tremendous opportunity on campus. Same with Clemson, Georgia Tech. How would you sell me as a fan that playing this game at a neutral site, albeit in Atlanta, but nonetheless, a neutral site is actually a good thing versus having those games on campus?
Yeah, typically what I do is talk to the ADs and the presidents, and number one, I say, okay, if you're not going to give a game back to the other team, we can pay you more than what you'll net at a home game to play in this game, number one. So financially, it's well worth your while. Number two is the schools like the Big Ten, the Pac-12, and the Big 12, they all have a 9-game conference schedule. So if you're an AD, you have to schedule 7 home games to make your budget. So in those years when they have 5 away games and only 4 conference games at home, they've got to schedule those other 3 non-conference at home. But in that other year, it becomes more difficult for them. So in the ACC and SEC, where they only have 8 games, you can schedule your 7 home games, make your budget, play in a game like this, and get a financial windfall, because you don't want to schedule typically 8 home games. You spoil your season ticket base a little bit. Sometimes it gets too expensive. And unfortunately, if you don't play a game like this and you play a non-directional school, even though it's a home game, a lot of people aren't going to those games anymore because they don't want to sit in 100-degree temperature, and they know it's going to be 50-0, where they'd rather get an opportunity to go see Georgia or Oregon. And if they don't want to go, they can watch a game on TV, and it's a huge game. It has implications to the CFB on both sides. From a recruiting base, Atlanta is ready to take over California for number 3 in the number of kids matriculate on college football scholarships, only behind Texas and Florida. So, again, for a coach, it's a big recruiting base that they come to. In the case of the ACC and SEC, the number 1 or number 2 alumni bases of all those schools live in Metro Atlanta. So they already got a lot of donors that live here that can come to the game easy, just, drive downtown. So financially, it makes sense. Recruiting, it makes sense. Exposure, it makes sense. And as a coach will tell you, you improve most between game 1 and game 2. Why? Because in practice, all during summer, you know each other's plays. You get tired of practicing against each other. In game 1, if you play against an easy opponent, you can't coach that kid up the next week because he should dominate that FCS school or a lower Division I school. You put him against an Oregon or a Georgia where they're probably playing against an all-conference, maybe an all-American. Now you got some good film. You can coach them up independently and individually as well as collectively as a team. So there's no downside to it whatsoever from a team standpoint, coach, fan, or AD, financially, recruiting-wise, or for a fan. We typically make tickets available. There's 72,000 seats. If you want to buy half the stadium, you can buy half the stadium. And you know, most cases, that takes care of their season ticket base. So now, having said all that, I'm not opposed to on-campus intersectional rivalries as well. Most ADs, because they saw that there could possibly be expansion in the CFP playoff, where you could lose a good non-conference game and then lose a conference game with 2 losses, still get in the playoff. You know, that's why people are scheduling more home and home. Plus, they want to keep their season ticket base alive. But we've changed the face of college football and scheduling with the start of our 2008 Chick-fil-A kickoff game with Alabama and Clemson. You now see Alabama going to Texas week 2. You see Notre Dame going to Ohio State week 1. Prior to our kickoff game in 2008, people were scheduling FCS and non-directional schools in their first 3 games. The last thing I would say is our games really have a compelling story to the CFP when they get down and select the teams, because what they ask you to do is play a tough non-conference schedule, because you can't schedule your conference games. The conference does that. You got, as an AD, 3 or 4 games to schedule. I only go back to 2017 when Alabama, number 1, played Florida State, number 3. Alabama wins the game in our Chick-fil-A kickoff open Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Alabama does not win the SEC that year, but gets into the playoff at number 4 because they had that big win against Florida State. So there's not anything negative about these games. Everything's positive.
Yeah, I remember that game in Alabama knocked out Florida State's quarterback, and I think that began the downturn of the Florida State program from that game on. They were very optimistic going in. Their quarterback goes down, lost for the season. If my memory's right, kind of knocked them back, and I don't think they've recovered yet. Before we let you go, Clemson fans going to Atlanta for their game against Georgia Tech, what can they expect surrounding the game, the build-up, the tailgating, stuff outside? What should they be looking for?
Well, first off, I know there are tickets on the secondary market, so the Clemson people can still come to the game, number 1. Number 2, we're going to have our team walks about 2 hours before game, where the Clemson team will actually walk through their fans, led by their band and their cheerleaders and the Tiger, and into the stadium. Secondly is 4 hours before the game, we'll have our Tailgate Town presented by PNC with all kind of interactive games, activities, music, food, drink. So great way to really start the season in a tailgate type of atmosphere before you go into Mercedes-Benz for the 8 o'clock kick. And then on Sunday, we're allowing everybody that comes to Atlanta to get into the College Football Hall of Fame free. So a free entry into the College Football Hall of Fame on Sunday to get ready for the college football kickoff of the ACC on Monday night.
Wow. Yeah, the Hall of Fame is fantastic. And real quick, again, I've never been inside the Dome. I keep calling it the Dome, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I've never gone in, despite having the chance. When I'm there for SEC Media Days, the schedule doesn't fit with me doing the show where I'm doing it. and I'm guessing maybe a bunch of Clemson fans have never been in there either. So how impressed are they going to be with this stadium?
Well, give Arthur Blank all the credit in the world. For $1.6 billion or more, he's built what I think is the best stadium in the country. Now, I have not been to SoFi Stadium yet, but from a fan experience standpoint, it just was built with the fan in mind. So even the pricing of the concessions, it's kind of like the Masters where you get $1.50 sandwich. All the prices are really for families and fans, really fan friendly. And the seating and the sight lines are fantastic. And it's just, the Halo board is tremendous. It's different than Dallas. In Dallas, you want to watch the game on the Halo board or the screen. In Atlanta, the Halo board is an adjunct experience to watching the game on the field. So it's really a first-class place and a first-class experience.
Well, you're a first-class gentleman, always have been with us, and we really appreciate it. And good luck with everything. I know you're optimistic about your Wolfpack this season as well. I know you really can't play favorites on the radio, but, in your heart, you got to feel like NC State's got a chance to maybe give Clemson a fight in that division once again.
Well, I will definitely be in Clemson, South Carolina that weekend for the NC State Clemson game. Which as you said, I think it's going to be the game of the year in the ACC with, State returning so many players on defense and then coming back with Leary, their quarterback. And Dave Dorn's done a great job up there, and he's got to get over the hump with Clemson. And Dabo, again, is going to have a fantastic team and a fantastic year. So that's what college football is all about. You just put them out there and let them play, and whoever plays best wins the game. And hopefully we see, someone from the ACC at the end of the year in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl semifinal game.
Well, we thank you for being with us. Look forward to being there on that Monday night. I'll say hello to you if you have a moment, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, and make sure you say hello to Dabo and to Shane and to Ray Tanner for me. Think a lot of those guys, and they've been good friends, and look forward to seeing them.
Thank you, Gary.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Gary.
your time.
Thank you. All right, guys. Take care.
You too. Gary Stoken from the Peach Bowl, the Chick-fil-A kickoff games, and they have really taken the opening of college football and made it their own big deal there in Atlanta, and Clemson going back this year and South Carolina going in a few years. So that's great stuff there. All right, we'll hit a break and continue, give you a little recruiting before the top of the hour. And then we'll hear from Dabo Swinney, not live, but on tape after his scrimmage today up at Clemson. We'll have that for you. Marshawn Lloyd talks about the Gamecock offense, and SC Wild tonight with the major Billy Downer focusing on the deer hunting season in South Carolina, which is about to ramp up in a big, big way. Got all that coming your way on Sports Talk. If you want to join us as well, 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to reach us here on Sports Talk. We'll be right back.
What better way to get over the midweek hump than by grabbing a drink with family and friends at the ballpark? Enjoy watching Fireflies baseball while sipping on a $5 White Claw seltzer night at Segra Park this White Claw Wednesday. Summer is coming to a close, and you don't want to miss out on all the fun happening at Segra Park. Tickets for tonight's game start at just $5. Visit firefliestickets.com to get your tickets now.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
There was just a lack of Black women, business owners, entrepreneurs, creatives. Growing up, I didn't see that. I figured out that I wanted to be a photographer for women of color. I found my niche and I'm sticking to it.
Each year, the South Carolina Education Lottery raises millions of dollars for scholarships and grants that help students prepare for their dream career, just like Kristen. Your passion is our purpose.
Hi, this is Major Billy Downer with DNR, and coming up tonight at 7:30, another edition of SC Wild on the Sports Talk Radio Network.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at experiencecolumbiasc.com.
If an insurance company is there to sell you insurance, shouldn't it also be there to service it with real people? At Farm Bureau Insurance, we're here to help with experienced agents ready to provide personal service when you need it most. Call today for your free no-obligation review for auto, home, and life insurance that's custom-tailored just for you.
Whether it's home, auto, or life insurance, Buddy Bridges and Farm Bureau Insurance have the right policy for you. Call Buddy today in Lawrence County at 864-923-2174.
South Carolina Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company, Southern Farm Bureau Casualty Insurance Company, Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi.
By the way, before we get to that recruiting report, I was just looking back on what I said about Florida State, and that truly was the turning point. They went 7-6 that season. They lost their starting quarterback, Francois, in that loss to Alabama. Remember him? He went down.
I do.
And they haven't had a winning season since. They went 5-7 in 2018. They went 6-7 in 19. They went 3-6 in 20. They went 5-7 last year. So maybe that is and they went into that game ranked number 3 in the country. A lot was expected. And
But
I think it was
Gary's
Jimbo
point about
Fisher's second year.
But Gary's point about that springboarding Alabama to a national champion, you're going to tell me if Alabama didn't go to Tallahassee and beat them at Florida State, they would not have got a greater bump than beating them in a neutral site game? Come on. I get it. You've got to promote
Gary Stokin said, and I believe it 150%.
Stop. All he told us was it's all about money. It's
as
all
they
about
say on
money.
Twitter, take the L and go home. All right.
I don't
Take
think I can
the
get
L
a media
and see.
credential for that event, but
In Twitter,
stop it.
in Twitter insult language, take the L, get off my lawn, and quit. And I'm living in your head, or something like that.
So Georgia can beat Oregon in Atlanta, and that's a better win for them than at home or in Eugene. Yeah, okay, I got it.
All right, recruiting report brought to you by Seawells. Hope you can get out to Seawells for their daily luncheon buffet the rest of this week. It's a roast beef Friday coming up on Friday, and a lot of good stuff in between, so make sure you get out and enjoy that. And, of course, the very best in the catering business, that's Seawells as well. To reach them, their phone number is 803-771-7385. And a basketball recruiting note, 6'5" Kome Emuabor. He'll be at Brewster Academy in New Hampshire this year after playing in Raleigh, North Carolina last season. Was recruited by Frank Martin when he was at USC. Now he's being recruited by Lamont Parrish and the Gamecock staff. He said they called after the Peak Jam, and they're starting to recruit him and build the relationship. And he's interested. He's interested in hearing what they have to say. He likes what he's learned so far and thinks that their style and Parrish's coaching style is one that fits him. He's also good friends with G.G. Jackson from the AAU days. Frank Martin continues to recruit him at UMass. He's going to take an official there. He's going to take one to UCF as well. He averaged 17 points and 9 rebounds per game last season. Kansas State, Arizona State, Texas A&M, Florida, Pitt, Virginia Tech, Vandy, some other offers. And in football, 2024 receiver Mazio Bennett of Greenville was offered today by Auburn. That's recruiting. It's the top of the hour, and we'll be back.
Way before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. The head of the nation's top public health agency has announced a shakeup of the organization.
The plan changes at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention are being called a reset. The CDC's director, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, told the agency staff about the changes on Wednesday. Some changes still are being formulated, but steps announced Wednesday include increasing use of preprint scientific reports to get out actionable data instead of waiting for research to go through peer review and publication by the CDC Journal Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report, restructuring the agency's communications office, and further revamping CDC websites to make the agency's guidance for the public more clear and easier to find. I'm Bill Alexander in Washington.
There's a crisis of violent crime going on in the city of Memphis, Tennessee, according to radio host and best-selling author Todd Starnes. He tells the Salem Radio Network everybody in the city is on edge because of the violence, and he points the finger of blame at city officials.
Well, the problem in Memphis, Tennessee is that we have a progressive city council. They will not support the local police department. We are about 700 to 800 officers below our official complement, which means the criminals have the upper edge here, the upper hand.
Talking about the violence, he gave an example of a bloody gun battle that took place near Methodist North Hospital in Raleigh about 1 a.m. Tuesday that involved minors. Abortions in North Carolina are no longer legal after 20 weeks of pregnancy, a federal judge ruled Wednesday. U.S. District Judge William Osteen reinstated an unenforced 20-week abortion ban with exceptions for urgent medical emergencies after the June U.S. Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 171 points. The Nasdaq dropped 164. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hi, Dennis Prager here with some information on a new product that's quite fascinating for staying healthy, Cofix RX. Everybody's been in the situation, the person next to you is sniffling or even coughing. Wouldn't it be great if you had a way to minimize airborne viral threats? To reduce your chance of getting hurt, you wear a safety belt when you're driving, and to limit sun damage, you wear sunscreen on the beach. Cofix is just like that. Cofix is a providone iodine-based antiviral nasal spray that helps keep you protected from airborne viruses. With Cofix RX nasal spray, you'll target colds, flus, and other viruses right where they breed, in your nasal cavity. Cofix RX should be in everyone's pocket, purse, or medicine cabinet. Visit Cofix RX, that's COFIXRX.com, for a doctor, pharmacy, or health food retailer near you, or use the coupon code Prager for 20% off at COFIXRX.com.
A federal judge in Cleveland has awarded $650 million in damages to 2 Ohio counties.
The counties sued pharmacy chains CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart, saying their opioid distribution policies harmed the counties. A jury returned in November ruled in favor of Lake and Trumbull counties outside Cleveland after a 6-week trial. U.S. District Judge Dan Polster then conducted a hearing to determine how much the counties should receive. The damage awards are meant to help the counties abate a continuing opioid crisis. Their attorneys before trial said it would take $1 billion each for the counties to abate the crisis. John Scott reporting.
Federal Reserve officials saw signs the U.S. economy was weakening at their last meeting, but still called inflation unacceptably high before raising their benchmark interest rate by a sizable 0.75 of a point in their drive to slow spiking prices. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy, but no overnight showers expected. The low dips to 67. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy again. Rain chances increase to 40%. Some afternoon and evening storms. And we stay cool with the high temp reaching just 79. Friday will be a wet day with 81 the high and showers on and off all day. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
This is The Point.
Make thepointradio.com.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
I really did enjoy having Gary Stoken on with us there in the last part of the program. Super nice guy from Atlanta. Known him a lot of years and doing a great job there with the Chick-fil-A people. Look forward to being in Atlanta on Labor Day night. What a weekend it's going to be for all of us. Labor Day, high school football on Friday night, and then racing at Darlington throughout the weekend. You got college football games on Saturday, South Carolina Saturday night against Georgia State. Sunday, Southern 500 at Darlington, and Monday night, Clemson against Georgia Tech in Atlanta, guys. You better take your Wheaties and take your vitamins as well. Eat your Wheaties, take your vitamins, get your rest, because it's going to be a long but fun weekend as well. Coastal Carolina opening their season too.
Yeah. I was going to say, you almost forgot the worst team in South Carolina, according to Big Game Boomer, whatever the heck that is, on Twitter. They ranked the worst teams in each state, and for somehow a team that won 11 games last year is the worst in our state. Really?
Well, I think he's is he only rating FBS teams?
It said college football teams. That's all it said.
He meant probably FBS teams, because he's not thinking Division II or FCS or anything like that. And one of the things that bothers me the most about Twitter, there's a lot, but I mean, I don't know who this person is. He might be the smartest guy in all of the land in covering college football, or he might just be, I don't know what. I mean, why should anybody care what he thinks? What has he done to earn the right to have my concern? I just ignore people like that, because what have they done in this business? What have they done? Have they put in the miles? Have they put in the work? Have they put in the hours to talk to people and cover people and report on people? Just because somebody throws something out on Twitter doesn't make you legit. Just because you throw an opinion out on Twitter doesn't make you legit. And why should I read it and pay any attention to it? I ignore people like that. So,
but it brings up a great talking point. Do you think Coastal's going to have the worst record of the three?
No, of course not, because Coastal's going to be in the neighborhood of minimum of 10 wins. And I mean, I don't think South Carolina can get to 10 wins.
I agree.
I think the Gamecocks can get, in the neighborhood, 8, 9. But I think Coastal's going to be in the 10, 11 win neighborhood once again. So, again, I don't think the dude, from what you're telling me, I don't think he's considering anything other than FBS programs in the state, because, come on,
right?
Use your common sense, dude. If you're gonna weigh every team in the state against one another, you're not going to say Coastal's the worst team in South Carolina. That's just idiotic, moronic, and downright stupid. All right, a couple of other quick things, and then we're going to hear from Dabo Sweeney. Chris, you can lead us into Dabo, since you were listening to him today as he was talking afterwards. A little note from Front Office Sports. I enjoy reading Front Office Sports. It's a website, a publication that focuses on the business side of sports, and they reported that Notre Dame reportedly expects around $60 million annually for its next media rights contract, more than doubling its current deal of $25 million. Outlets reported in July that Notre Dame was seeking $75 million annually from NBC, which drew speculation due to the school's lower than expected ratings. So that you wonder why Notre Dame resists going into a conference. That's the reason right there. $60 million annually for its next rights, and they don't have to share it with anybody. It's all theirs. And they're going to be in the neighborhood of what every SEC team is going to be pulling in from their new contract, and way above what every ACC team is going to be pulling in from their current contract. So if you're Notre Dame, there is no rush to join a league, unless, of course, they rewrite the rules that prevent independents from making the college football playoff.
And they'd have a really hard time doing that if it were any other independent. Let's say Texas Tech were an independent. You could write that rule and it wouldn't be a problem. But you're talking about, regardless of what you think of Notre Dame, they are still the one school by itself on the college football landscape that moves the meter. since they're not a conference, they can move the meter themselves. Obviously, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, all the top programs move the meter, but they all also have conference affiliations. Notre Dame can do that without being in the ACC or the Big Ten. I don't know many other schools that can do that. Now, would I pay if I'm NBC? Would I pay that school $60 million a year so I can televise their games? Do I get that kind of bang for my buck? I don't know, but obviously they think they do.
They must. I mean, they, and this is a Notre Dame team that hasn't won a national championship since, what was it, 89? Was that when it was under Lou Holtz? The last time am I forgetting? Have they won a national championship since the Lou Holtz era?
No.
I know they got in the playoffs and got smoked a couple of times, but I don't think they've won a national championships way back then. But that's Notre Dame, man. Notre Dame is the legacy. Notre Dame is the tradition. And it's the coast-to-coast alumni that Notre Dame has. I mean, let's face it, they got fans all across the country that follow them. So their eyeballs are important. Okay, let's go to Dabo Swinney. Tigers scrimmaged again today. Chris, it was their second and last scrimmage of camp as they're getting ready for Georgia Tech. I guess they turned the corner here and really start to focus on the Yellow Jackets coming up and making sure they got all their people in place. And you want to lead us into what Dabo had to say after the scrimmage?
When I was working on this, Phil, it struck me as odd for a moment. And then when I started listening to Dabo a little bit further, it made sense. But I was stunned that this is their second and last scrimmage that they had. You think they would have one over the weekend. He said they will do some live good-on-good type stuff moving forward. But they're going to start now with classes beginning later on in the week. They are beginning on Sunday. He said that's when game prep mode starts, and they'll be full-fledged Tuesday of next week into the Yellow Jackets. But he talked about the scrimmage today and said actually the defense responded, was his words, including Toriano Pride and Nate Wiggins, each with interceptions in that ball game. But the funny part was his initial comments. He called it Camp Kool-Aid. And here's what Dabo had to say about the unseasonably cool weather that he evidently does not like right now in the upstate.
It was like 75 yesterday. It's crazy. It'll be like 100 when we play Furman here in a few weeks. But anyway, it is what it is. Got not very tough elements out here today. But I told you got it to be great. You got to have a little luck along the way, right? And they're off to a good start. They got a little lucky here in camp. But as coaches, we don't like it. It is what it is. But our last full scrimmage, like I said the other day, we get 2 full scrimmages, and that's it. They changed those rules, and we had you get some other days. We'll have a few live plays on Monday, and then that's pretty much it from a live standpoint as far as to the ground. We still have a lot of competitive work, full speed, like we always do. We always practice fast and physical on Tuesdays and Wednesdays of game week. Full pass Tuesdays, shows on Wednesdays. But it's all full speed thud. You try to stay on your feet. So, 2 full days alive. I thought we got better in some areas today. I thought our defense responded. Outside of, I was very disappointed in our overtime period defensively, but and offensively. We had a couple of penalties and really did a poor job defensively. We kind of split the team up with ones on twos there, but we mixed it up all day. And again, some really good things. But, we had 2 turnovers, good interception by 20 and one by 23. Worked on a lot of things in the passing game today. We were just kind of challenging the guys. Our protection, I'm pretty pleased with that first group and what they're doing right now. And then we got some guys that were kind of cross-trained in some other areas, with our 2s and 3s. But, good day. Got done what we need to get done. I don't think anybody got hurt. We got some guys that we put on pitch count a little bit today, and a couple guys that we held. But, we're trending in a good spot. So I'm thankful that because there ain't but one way to get ready. You got to go play, and it is what it is. You can't. You just gotta practice tough to be tough, and so we're in a good spot. Really like where our team is health wise. We've got 2 guys that are out. Miles Oliver, who came in here hurt and was going to redshirt most likely, and then Troy, who was doing pretty good. But those are the 2 guys out for long term. XT's doing great. He'll be back, hopefully in a short amount of time. And, other than that, everybody's really in a good spot, training in a good spot. And so hopefully we can continue to get a little luck there. We're as healthy as we've been in a long time, so pretty pleased with that. Tomorrow will be a good tempo practice. We're going to give them a couple of days of just rest. We've been going, I think, 16 or 17 straight days. So that's one of the things that they extended the period. We got a couple of days there. We let them recover. We'll come back in here on Sunday and crank it back up Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 3 more days of camp. And then we'll break camp next Wednesday. School starts. So once that happens, then they get their life back, and we get back on a 20-hour rule. So right now we pretty much got them all day, every day. Just trying to get a lot of things. We worked on a lot of situational stuff today, a lot of miscellaneous plays, a lot of miscellaneous things that can happen in the course of the game that you got to be ready for. So we covered a lot of that, and so good day from an installation standpoint, as far as just get through our checklist of all the things that we got to prepare them for that could happen in the course of the game. And then once we get to next week, really, like I said, a little live on Monday, and then it's all game prep from there, and just getting them healthy, getting them fresh, getting the fatigue, they're fatigued, getting the fatigue out of them, and really locking in on who's going to play, getting in our scouts and all that stuff. We're still repping 3 groups every day, so that can create a little bit of just a little more frustration than you normally have when you got a lot of guys that are repping. It's a little bit of a moving mixed bag there, but so we're in a good spot. We just gotta keep grinding. We got a ways to go. We got 2.5 weeks, and we're gonna need all of it.
Why did you have the guys running after practice? Did you do something wrong?
They always run after practice. We always run. It's just we got a lot of position running that we do, so it's kind of stuff we track, from a conditioning standpoint. But, we always run after practice. Some groups do, some groups don't. It really depends on the position group, and then you got your team stuff from time to time that we do. Yeah. I mean, we haven't named it a starting line, but I'm starting to, feel pretty good about, where we are right now headed into next week. So, we'll watch this tape, and then we'll meet this afternoon, and we'll get through all of it tonight and tomorrow with the team. And, when they come back in here on Sunday, we're gonna start doing some, really opponent prep. We'll put a couple days in on Furman. We'll spend Sunday, Monday really kind of putting a little bit of work on them, because we get back here and we play Labor Day night, and that's Saturday for us, but it's Monday for the rest of the world. So, we go in here about 4:30 in the morning. You wake up the next day, it's Tuesday, and you play against Saturday. So that's a really tough challenge. So we've done all of our preliminary work as coaches, but we need to really prepare the team and get a good foundation, so when we do come in on that Tuesday, they're not starting from ground zero. We need to have some type of foundation and working knowledge. So we'll spend, some Sunday, Monday on Furman and on Clemson, kind of a combination of that, because it'll be double day on Monday, tough day. It'll be some live work, but also doing some separate and doing some game prep, and then Tuesday we'll go all Georgia Tech. And then Wednesday they get to school, and we go from there. So we're in a good spot. I can't remember what was yours. Oh, no, yeah. So I was going to tell you, we'll finalize our personnel once we watch this tape, and then we get back into our game prep mode Sunday. Then we'll say, okay, this is kind of where we are, and we might have a couple of guys that's still going to be close, but we got to start honing in on the opponent, and we got to start getting ready. We can only take 80. So we got to start seeing, okay, well, who do we think that 80 is for this game? And then start repping that way.
All right, Dabo Sweeney from today's scrimmage. All of it's on our website, sportstalksc.com. We also have all the USC defensive players who met with the media today up on our website, sportstalksc.com. Tomorrow, it'll be the USC coordinators meeting with the media. We'll have that covered for you as well on the website, sportstalksc.com, and bring you some of that tomorrow night. And Marshawn Lloyd coming up after the break. And as we go to the break, there's a high school football regular season game. The first one of the high school league. We had a Skeeza game on Saturday that counted.
Yep.
And this one's a high school league game that'll count. After a quarter, Pelion is leading Bethune-Bowman 15-0. And playing that game over at Bethune-Bowman this evening. All right, we'll hit the break and be right back here on Sports Talk. Marshawn Lloyd comments coming up as he is getting that little foot thing behind him and looking forward to a big season with the Gamecocks. He wants to be the man with the pigskin. To be the man, you got to be the man. He wants to be the man. We'll hear from him after the break.
If you're looking to stay hydrated this summer, turn toward a southern favorite, sweet South Carolina watermelons. One slice is equivalent to a glass of water and is just as effective as sports drinks for hydration. If you don't believe us, you can ask the Palmetto State's top football teams. The SC Watermelon Association will be serving up slices after summer practice to keep our teams fueled and hydrated. Visit scwatermelon.org for all the details and look for ripe South Carolina watermelons in your hometown.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
Hi, this is Major Billy Downer with DNR. And coming up tonight at 7:30, another edition of SC Wild on the Sports Talk Radio Network.
It all builds up to this at Darlington Raceway.
If you're going to kick off the playoffs,
good stop, guys.
Why not do it big?
Green flag is up.
Like Labor Day weekend big.
Get in your car here. That's how you make a move.
Like Southern 500 big. The only thing bigger than the action would be the experience of seeing it live. And that
I got into the wall.
Might just be too tough to take.
Bring it home, bring it home.
NASCAR Playoffs weekend at Darlington Raceway, September 3rd through the 4th. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
Have you ever wanted to meet a World Series champion? Local baseball legend and former New York Met Mookie Wilson will be in attendance at Segra Park this Saturday night for Faith and Family Night presented by Columbia International University. Join the Fireflies, Mookie Wilson, and the lovable Superstars for a family fun night at the ballpark featuring a post-game speech from Mookie about his faith and a spectacular fireworks show. Visit firefliestickets.com to get your tickets now.
Life. It has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
All right, just see where Virginia Tech has named Marshall transfer Grant Wells the starting quarterback. So Jason Brown, the USC quarterback transfer, did not win that job. Meantime, Marshawn Lloyd hoping to be a much bigger producer for the Gamecocks this season than he was last year. He rushed for 228 yards last season. He, of course, was hurt his first year. So this has got to be his year. This has got to be his time. You want to feed him the football and let that talent rise to the top. Of course, he had a little bit of a foot issue that caused him to miss the scrimmage last Saturday. And earlier this week when he met with the media, he explained what's going on with the foot.
The injury, I had a little sprain in my foot, minor sprain. See, I'm walking now. It wasn't nothing, too major. Just was watching it. Coach was watching it. But today I just did, I was in the weight room doing some, extra conditioning stuff to get back into it. You don't want to just throw me back into practice. So I just was getting ready to, possibly be able to go back this week.
Marshawn obviously didn't get to go in the scrimmage, but I guess just what did you kind of see from the other guys that did get to go in the running back room this week? I know you guys got a lot of guys they got a lot of different guys that got a lot of carries this weekend.
Yes.
And what did you kind of see from the rest of those guys?
We look really good. We have a great backfield. Just like if one goes down, another, can do the same exact thing. So it was fun being able to see guys that don't get much reps, during practice. It was fun being able to see them go out there and they be able to execute, on a high level.
Marshawn, we got to speak to Dante Miller last week. Just what have you seen from him since he comes in, and does he come to you for advice?
Oh yeah, definitely. Dante's he's a really, really smart kid. He's in here. He goes to the coaches a lot. He learns the plays. He asks me for different things according to the plays because most of the stuff like we already went over. So yeah, he's a really good dude. He's a great person to be around. Super smart. He's a really good guy.
Hey, Marshawn, how much can that running back depth help you guys as the season rolls on?
It can help a lot. Like I said early on, it's and playing in the SEC is the toughest conference. You want to have multiple backs. You don't want one guy taking 40 carries a game because that's it's not going to be good for your body. But having guys that could go in and do the same exact thing that I could and just having rotations is really good for our team, and it helps us out a lot as far as like when teams are having to pretty much watch us before we play them.
Marshawn, I know you obviously haven't been out there for stretches of it, but just as you get into week 2 of camp, what are some things you feel like the offense is doing really well right now, and what are some things you'd like to see kind of sharpen up as you get into week 2?
Honestly, I feel like we're doing good on all levels, of what we're doing. Pass game is looking good. Running game is looking really good. I feel like we're working on all. So we could work on all cylinders. But as far as right now, I feel like we're in a good spot.
Hey, Marshawn, how comforting is it as a running back to have 5 offensive linemen with over 100 combined starts in front of you, just kind of having that experience to block?
It's very comfortable. They know what they're doing. I got really close with every single one of them. So it's cool to have somebody that, first of all, we had a 1,000-yard rusher 2 years ago, so they know what they're doing. They've been through it, and I just feel like this year is going to be like a special year for those old linemen.
Hey, Marshawn, of course, this year you're playing with a very mobile quarterback in Spencer Rattler. I wanted to ask, in your opinion, how does that help the dynamic or impact the dynamic of your run game?
Helps a lot because a lot of teams. He didn't play in the SEC, so a lot of teams don't really know much about Spencer. They didn't really game plan on him. They don't know what he can do. So having him back there definitely helps us out a lot in the run game as well as in the pass game because you never know what we can do. We don't want to be one dimensional, so we're working on everything we've been doing.
Yeah, and just to follow up on that, you mentioned it not being one-dimensional. I know last year sometimes you guys would have, even Jaheim Bell would be back there. So what do you think about that, just the way that he's kind of used just like all over the place, even sometimes in the backfield? Like, what do you think about how that also, I guess, impacts the way that you guys, just run your offense?
Honestly, whatever we need to do to win, we're all for it. If Jaheim has to be in the backfield as well, hey, he's going to be in the backfield because at the end of the day, we want to win. And we know Jaheim is a great player and he can do it all. So if they're able to put him in the backfield for some plays, then I'm all for it.
Marshawn, what was it like? I guess Christian was out of the scrimmage too. Just you guys kind of on the sideline watching your backups or the other running backs play. And what is that dynamic like? Because I know no position's promised, but you two guys are probably 1 and 2.
It's pretty cool. Me and Christian, we're just sitting there now and just pretty much just, going through the plays, the whole mental side of things, going through the plays, just trying to help out as much as we can. We have been taking a decent amount of reps, so it's been pretty cool, being able to help other running backs and, in a way. So having Christian, because it's not a long, me and him we're both pretty good. So have not been a long, time missing. So it's been pretty good being able to help, a lot of the younger guys.
Hey, Marshawn, Lavassier Carroll, obviously a big add to this room, and he's kind of a character. What has he been able to add to the room, whether it be on the field with his play or off the field with his character?
Oh yeah, Lucinif, he's a great running back. He's getting back into it. Last year he played DB, so he's getting back into running back. He's a really good runner. He reminds me of the way his running style. He reminds me of Alvin Kamara a little bit, just because how calm he runs. Might not look like he's running fast, but no one ever catches him. So I know he's doing something right. But he's a great dude. We went out to lunch yesterday. So a couple of running backs went out to lunch yesterday. So he's a good guy to be around. A really good person.
All right, some comments from Gamecock running back Marshawn Lloyd. They would certainly love for him to have a big, big season. All right, SC Wild's coming up. Thank you, Chris. And Pat, you're not going anywhere. You'll stay tuned for calls for Major Billy Downer coming up after the break.
Possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy, but no overnight showers expected. The low dips to 67. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy again. Rain chances increase to 40%. Some afternoon and evening storms. And we stay cool with the high temp reaching just 79. Friday will be a wet day with 81 the high and showers on and off all day. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting Arizona and Nevada residents won't face bans on watering their lawns or washing their cars despite more Colorado River water shortages. But U.S. officials announced Tuesday there will be less water available next year for them from the river that serves 40 million people in the West and Mexico and a farm industry worth billions of dollars. Observers warn that a reckoning is still coming for the growing region. Abortions in North Carolina are no longer legal after 20 weeks of pregnancy, a federal judge ruled Wednesday. U.S. District Judge William Osteen reinstated an unenforced 20-week abortion ban with exceptions for urgent medical emergencies. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 171 points, the Nasdaq dropped 164, the S&P 500 lower by 31. More details at srnnews.com.
I'm already a big fan of Medicare Blueprint. Tim and his team saved me several $1,000s. They took a look at my health insurance. They helped me get the best possible plan. But not long ago, I reached out when we had a crisis. The big bad insurance company out of nowhere just canceled mom's medicine for her multiple sclerosis. No warning, 30 years, same med, and just like that, gone. Here's the good news. Medicare Blueprint doesn't work for the insurance companies. They work for you. They're local. Imagine me trying to get this fixed, calling some national toll-free number. Outsourced operators never talk to the same person twice. Medicare Blueprint went to work, helped me get mom's meds back, and how's this? Even less expensively than we were paying before. Incredible customer service and local. What a great formula. Oh, and it cost me nothing for their services. Nothing. Whether you're on Medicare or not, my mom is, I'm not, Medicare Blueprint helped both of us. Online, it's MedicareBlueprint.com or call them 708-7398. That's 708-7398.
A well-regulated humidor being necessary to the preservation of a cigar, the right of the people to keep and enjoy cigars shall not be infringed. For those who love a great cigar and want to spend time with others who are like-minded, the Cigar Militia offers the experience you're looking for. We're located in the Colonial Village next to the Melting Pot. The Cigar Militia offers exceptional cigars from around the world, staff to assist you in your selections, private cigar lockers, and a lounge where members can relax and enjoy.
This is Roger Metz, host of Woods and Water, South Carolina. We often hear shop local. Well, deer hunters, you can do just that at Verdon's Farm and Garden Center in Lawrence, South Carolina.
Do you need a new deer stand, trail camera, or mineral block? They have all that and more.
Need seed? Plant their widely sold Verdon's Wildlife Mix, a 10-seed blend, or maybe just grab a couple of bags of oats.
They have shelled corn all year long and bring in cob corn during deer season.
Deer hunters, you can get all this and more at Verdon's Farm and Garden Center on Highway 221 in Lawrence, South Carolina, just a few miles off the interstate.
So shop local at Verdon's and please tell them that Woods and Water SC sent you.
The most dangerous appliance in the house is the clothes dryer. There's no bigger fire hazard than a dryer not working properly. I'm Patrick with Dryer Vent Wizard in Lexington. Is your dryer taking more than one cycle to dry clothes? It's more than cleaning out a lint trap. Dryer Vent Wizard helps with fire prevention, avoiding mold and mildew, saving energy, which saves dollars and extends the life of your dryer and even your clothes. Dryer vents are all we do. Online, it's LexingtonDryerVentWizard.com or call us today, 693-5357. That's 693-5357.
Everyone seems to be hiring these days, but are they good jobs where there's potential for growth? What about on-the-job training and competitive wages, including health insurance and a 401k plan? Professional Printers is looking for their next star. They're a local printer with 2 locations, 130 employees, and a national clientele. If you've got a good attitude, want to learn some great skills, and work in a positive environment, reach out on proprinters.com or apply in person at 301B Greystone Boulevard.
Now on Sports Talk, it's SC Wild with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer is here to take your questions about the great outdoors in South Carolina. Give him a call at 888-898-2525. It's SC Wild from DNR on the Sports Talk Radio Network.
All right, time to welcome in the Major Billy Downer to Sports Talk, another edition of SC Wild, brought to you by the Department of Natural Resources here in the state of South Carolina. It's great to have the Major with us once again. Good evening, sir. How are you?
It's been great listening to you for the last hour, Phil. I already kind of have a clue of what we're going to be talking about tonight. You've been chatty about the alligators and whatever else. Here we go. I need to burst your bubble, but I already know what we're talking about tonight. So.
Well, we're going to dive into deer hunting season, which is upon us across the state of South Carolina. I know you want to get into that and remind people about things related to that, but we did have a couple of breaking news stories related to, of course, unfortunately, a death related to an alligator down at Sun City in right outside of Beaufort. An elderly lady fell into a pond, and unfortunately, an alligator was there, nine-foot alligator, and that didn't end well. And then I saw where we had a couple of folks suffering some shark bites along the coast. I just thought I'd let you remind everybody about what to do and what not to do when you're around these creatures and how to avoid an unhappy ending.
Absolutely. So, this does make the third alligator quote incident involving a person who is deceased. The question still remains, and all these are still under investigation a little bit, just as far as did somebody drowned, and the gator finds them, those kind of things happen. The gator always gets blamed, no doubt about it. And we teach people to be, we always talk about on the show, as the public, our officers teach, talk to people about being very cognizant of alligators, understanding that they are, an animal that's been around here for thousands of years, and they are, very primary in their decision-making process. A little walnut-sized brain, again, you always hear the joke, tells them 2 things, either reproduce or eat. Don't want them doing either one with me. Neither one's a good option for me. So, anyway, biggest thing with South Carolina now is our alligator population has gotten to the point where they are in a lot of areas. People are used to seeing them. People get complacent. People begin to feed alligators. They think it's fun. And they don't understand the biggest thing is we always say, Bill, is do not feed alligators, because it removes that natural fear that alligators have of man. And once you remove that little small fence between us and the alligator, you've removed the major protection, because once they're not afraid of you, once they connect you with food, when they come up and they don't get fed because somebody's been throwing them bread or whatever else, they're going to look for food, and they're going to get aggressive about it. They want to see the food. Where's the food at? When I say aggressive, I don't mean like a crocodile. They're not coming out of the water grabbing people. It's not what's happening. People are getting close to the edge. They're reaching down in the water. They're making splashes, something that attracts a gator. Gator comes over then, or dog. We talked about that a number of times, how people with dogs to gators taste like chicken. They don't think twice about it. That is a food group for them. They don't see a dog as anything different than a raccoon or a deer, for that matter. They're going to take a meal out of that. And when you're attached to it by a leash, they don't worry about that. They're focused on the animal. and that puts man and alligator in conflict. So, unfortunately, this year we've seen a lot more man-alligator conflict. I wish we wouldn't, but it's kind of the more alligators we have, people are moving into areas where alligators have or habitat is. We like to put houses around water. Alligators like to be in the water, so it just puts us in contact. And when you see a sign that says alligators present, please beware. You need to take heed of that. Don't go down to the edge of the water, bend down, splashing, all those things. It just attracts attention to an animal that really doesn't have a large ability to decide what to do. They're going, instinct's going to take over.
Yeah, that's a great message to everybody out there. Don't stir these things up unless, of course, you're out there hunting them. And where are we now with alligator hunting in South Carolina? Is that still a wide open season? Where do we stand with that?
So the season's going to open up next month again. Remember, it goes for a month. We've already completed the draw. Folks know they've been drawn or not. They'll be issued the tags. Season for alligators, you have the 4 areas of the state. Upper coastal, lower coastal, Midlands, and PD. Those are your 4 areas to hunt alligators. We do limit that by population size. So certainly there's a little bit more opportunity now for alligator tags. We have a pretty good draw system. We have a very good draw system and a pretty good built-up amount of people annually that put in for those tags. So that is one of the major ways we control our population. We encourage folks to put in for those draws. To go get a guide and take an alligator. You don't have to have a guide; they go out by themselves. Again, remember the alligators in those cases can't be taken with a rifle or a firearm. They need to be taken with hook and line or with a bow and arrow. You can dispatch the gator at the side of the boat with a handgun or a bang stick. I know you love to talk about bang sticks, but there it is. But that's that. Other than that, we have our private lands tag program where folks have large areas of land and water, can put in for tags to manage their own populations. And folks have private ponds, they have alligator pond, will give them a tag to take care of the gator themselves as well. Past that, we have individuals still, Deuces Wildlife cooperators go out and remove gators for us as well. Public water like the lake, like Lake Marion, Moultrie, public areas where they have to, a problem gator has to be removed.
We shift to
That
sharks.
pretty much sums up gators again.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah. I want to shift to sharks for a minute because I did see we had a couple of shark attacks off the coast of South Carolina. Youngster, I saw some pictures of a youngster who was bitten. He's okay. I mean, he survived and it's going to be okay. But I guess either his friends or his folks put some pictures on Twitter, happened to run past me. And I think there was another attack. But I mean, again, that's bound to happen along the coast of South Carolina and up and down the Atlantic seaboard, right? It's just not in South Carolina. It's up and down the Atlantic coast.
It does, and it happens annually in our state. It's not uncommon to have an alligator bite. Now, we call it attack. In most cases, it's involving bull sharks. Again, we've talked about that, Phil. One of our typical species that's to blame there is a bull shark. They typically hunt in the surf a lot of times, or they'll hunt in murky water. They just kind of bite flashes. Remember, I've always reminded folks, don't wear rings, don't wear anything flashy in the water when you go to the beach. You don't need to wear your webband in the ocean. It shines or a watch that would make a traction or would shine, reflect light that would cause an alligator, a shark, to see a flash in the water and think that's the side of a fish. They're thinking reflective on the scales, and they're going in to bite. The fortunate thing, and this sounds bad, the fortunate thing is that predominantly our shark bites are not fatal because they're a bite, and this is not what I thought it was. I let go and I go on. Problem is, sharks got lots of rows of sharp teeth, and it shreds tissue very fast. We have soft tissue, we bleed quick, and that doesn't make it fun for the person who gets bit. And stitches later, you're still having to deal with that bite. Not saying that's an okay thing at all either. Just saying that we are fortunate that our attacks do not involve great whites. Like in other areas where a person's eaten. It's typically a bull shark. I think we've got a couple other species that are sometimes even sand sharks do that. Bite and let go, make a mistake. But again, it doesn't take away from the experience being awful. It's still bad, but it does happen from time to time. Typically, it happens in shallow water, in knee-deep water a lot of times. It doesn't happen over your head all the time. It happens inside the surf, within 100 yards of shore sometimes, and it just happens when alligators are feeding. One of the things I also tell folks is, make sure when you're swimming at the beach, if you see fish, swimming near you, be cognizant of that. If there's bait fish swimming around you, there's going to be another animal looking to eat the bait fish. It's how the ocean works. So just be cognizant of that. Best advice I can give.
Yeah, I think that was the case with the young boy that was bitten, that he was out there and they were fishing from the surf and he was out there, and I guess, shark came up and got him. So you just got to keep your head on a swivel and eyes open and be alert to that sort of thing. All right, let's get to a more favorable topic in your mind, and that is deer hunting season. I almost took out 3 the other night. 3 ran in front of me on 501 heading down towards the beach. So not only do you have to be on the lookout for them in the woods, look out for them on the highways.
You're a very skilled driver. You missed 3 deer. You did an excellent job. We'll give you 3 stars today for that. However, the insurance company will thank you for not hitting, I'm sure. But so deer season did open up. Game zone right now in Richland County all the way down to Charleston, lower part of the state. So deer season is open now. That's kind of the August 15th is where it starts. Game zone 3, game zone 4 opens up later. Game zone 3 is a good bit. Game zone 4 opened up 1st of September. Again, bucks only. So this time of year, I was in conversations 2 days ago with folks. They're all excited about going out at 15th. They're ready to go. And it's just hard for me to get excited when it's hot. It has cooled down a little bit, but there are plenty of folks in the low country that like to go out and take a deer early right now. Good chance to get a deer, a buck in velvet, which is one of those trophies for hunters to get a deer that's in velvet. That's the soft tissue that surrounds the antlers as they're growing. Kind of makes them look bulbous, that velvety appearance to them. So a challenge there. This time of year, bean fields, fresh cut cornfields are the predominant areas folks are hunting. Again, right now, particularly in the low country, bean fields are a favorite because these deer like to go out in these bean fields and bed down, get away, and then these big bucks will stand up right before dark and walk out in the field, and that's an opportune time for someone to take a good look at a deer, see if it's the kind of deer you want to take and take a shot. So again, deer season's in, bucks only. Remember, tags are required. We had our youth day this past weekend for game zones 3 and 4. Game zones 1 and 2 won't have a youth day till coming up next couple months here. But again, game zone 3 season's in, bucks only. Does may not be taken until September the 15th. To take a doe or an antlerless deer, remember you must have a antlerless deer tag. When you purchase a hunting license, if you purchase a combination hunting and fishing license, you receive a big game permit. With the purchase of big game permit, you will receive a set of 5 free deer tags. That'll have 3 buck tags, 2 doe tags. 3 buck tags are unrestricted. The 2 doe tags may not be used until September the 15th. You may purchase additional doe tags up to 4 more. You can get a bonus of 2 more if you're in game zones 3 and 4. If you buy all four, we talked about that last time, and you can purchase 2 more buck tags, which are considered they're just antler restricted tags, which means that bucks for those 2 tags must be at least 12 inches wide or 4 inches, 12 inches inside or 4 on one side.
Mm-hmm.
At least 4 points on one. So the opportunities are there. Again, right now, buck season's in. It's hot. Make sure you've got your license, that you've got your big game permit. Remember the Go Outdoors SC app. Load that on your phone. You can load your license on your phone. We're not doing electronic tagging for deer yet, so you got to have those paper tags in possession. For many folks, they haven't received their tags yet. You may go online, enter your information, and print your tags through the app or online at dnr.sc.gov. You must have a printer at home to print your tags. And those temporary tags can be used until the permanent tags come in the mail. So there have been some reports of some folks who have not gotten their tags in the mail yet. But again, the print function on the computer has been unlocked for everybody to try to allow them to be able to get the tags printed so they don't have to wait to go hunting. You can actually go buy your tags and your license on your phone, and from your phone, print your tags to a home printer, as long as your printer and your phone connect up. That night, you can go hunting that night, first day without waiting. Your temporary
Major, you dropped out there for a moment. Can you go back and repeat that part about printing out and go hunting the next day? You dropped out there for a moment.
I'm sorry, sure. So if you can buy your tags and you buy your license and your tags on your phone, Go Outdoors SC app, and you can go with your phone through the app and print your tags online, or online through your printer at home, as long as your printer at home is working. Now, we've had people call and get mad if the printer doesn't work. Well, we can't help if you don't have ink at your printer, or if your printer doesn't work with your phone. But we do have the ability for you to do that at home and print temporary tags so that you can actually buy your license, print your tags, and go the same afternoon. Again, the permanent tags will come into play. Go ahead.
I was going to ask, would you say permit request applications are up so far going into this year, or about the same, or maybe a little bit down?
They're about the same. You know, we have around 225,000 hunters in our state. Again, remember, we take somewhere around 250,000 deer each year of a population of deer. It's around 750 million where our population sits. Our deer population, our deer produce about 250,000 deer a year. So we're basically keeping things level with our kill ratio, our take ratio to the birth ratio of fawns. This time of year, there's still fawns on the ground too. That's just why we don't allow those to be taken. You've still got spotted fawns or fawns that are too young to be left alone to make it on their own. So again, those are not open to take until September the 15th. Always remember, again, your license, your tags must be in your possession. The license could be on your phone now, but deer tags must be in your possession when you're deer hunting. Before you move a deer, if you take a deer, if you shoot a buck, you've got to tag that deer before you move it. Where you tag the deer at is on the back leg, between the back tendon and the back hock. Take a knife, slice it, place a tag through, and tape it together, and you tag your deer. Mark your day to date, your day to kill. A lot of people forget that. Even I forget that. But just post a mark when you kill that deer on the tag. Keep the deer tagged until you go to the processor. That's a transportation tag. Doesn't need to stay on the deer inside the processor in the freezer, but it does need to stay on the deer until you get to where you're going to process the deer or cut it up. You can field dress the deer in the field, but it must be tagged before you move it. Take it to a processor. You got to make sure you tag the deer. Tag stays with the deer until you get to the processor, or until the deer is processed or you've cut it up or quartered the deer.
Speaking
So
of,
that's the main rule. Go ahead.
Yeah. Speaking of processing, how many processors are there around the state of South Carolina? Are they plentiful? Are they easy to get to? What's it cost to process a deer for those of us who've never had one processed?
So those are good questions, and what people do for processing. So there's a lot of processors through the state. How many, Phil? I don't know. That's a great question, and I'll need to look that up. I know there's at least one in every county. I'm going to say there's at least two. I'm going to say somewhere around probably 80 to 100 processors in our state, typically. Yeah. I'm going to say that. 1 to 2 in every county, 2 to every county. Some cases more. Processing of deer, the typical processing that folks do on a deer, you're going to take the loins, which are the prime, that's your prime rib of the deer. That's your base, that's your best cut. That's your filet mignon. The loins run down the back of the deer, inside your tenderloins, inside the backbone of the deer. But tenderloins, you're either going to take those whole or you're going to butterfly them. And then you're going to do hamburger meat or cube steak. So cube steak's taken from the softer, less sinew tissue, particularly from the hams, where it's not quite as sinewy as the shoulders. The meat is ground up into hamburger meat, sausage, or lots of variety. Depending on the processor, you have the ability to get, pepperoni. You can get jalapeno sticks like jerky. You can get summer sausage. It just depends on the processor. There's some really great processors out there. Lower part of the state, everybody knows Cordray's, 301 Deer Processing up toward Florence. You've got some great processors around the state that do a great job and provide a lot of variety. Tracy's and Sumter provides a lot of different varieties. There's some really good breakfast sausages out there that these processors do. I put some people on the Tracy's Deer Processing in Sumter. There's a great breakfast sausage in a maple flavor that's just awesome, which is great with eggs. It's just great breakfast. And of course, they're going to mix some pork fat with the deer meat to make sausage, because deer meat is going to be not as fat. Deer don't have fat on them like cow does. It's going to be very, very lean meat, which is healthy for you. All natural, of course. And your hamburger meat, I usually take and add, you cook some hamburger meat with deer, I always add some olive oil to it, which gives it a little juice, a little oil to it. Helps it not burn. I use deer hamburger meat for everything from tacos to spaghetti, anything I do hamburger with. There's some great processors mixing bacon with hamburger and make some bacon burgers. You talk about a great burger. A bacon burger is a juicy, great hamburger, and made with deer meat is wonderful. So processors do a lot of different cuts. Your basic cuts are your your loins, your hamburger, and your cube steak. And then all the varieties of sausages out there that these processors make, and like I said, your jalapeno sticks, your snack sticks, your summer sausage, and the other probably what I would call specialty items that folks make with deer meat.
Sounds delish. One day, maybe in 2 weeks, as we get deeper into deer hunting season, we'll talk more recipes that you have in mind. Some of your favorite recipes, some of your favorite spices that you like to add to your deer deer cooking exploits.
Absolutely. And Phil, I forgot one major thing before we leave tonight, because I know we're close on time.
Yeah.
If you're hunting this time of year when it's 100 degrees, it's very, very important you take that deer and get it to shade, get it to the processor as soon as possible. Don't let it sit on the back of a truck all day, because the meat's going to spoil. When it's hot like this, do everything you can to keep that deer meat in the shade, keep it cool. A lot of people will field dress, which means remove the internal organs, which keeps it cooler. Not heat from that natural internal organs removed. It makes the meat stay fresher longer. But getting to the processor as quick as possible is important. Washing that deer, keeping it clean, particularly in hot weather months like now.
Great advice, Major. You enjoy the next couple of weeks. I know you'll be out in the fields probably doing just that, looking for your winter kill to save and use it later on in the year. So We'll be talking to you in a couple of weeks about all that and more. Hopefully nothing in the news. And we thank you for being with us.
Thanks, sir. Have a good night.
Thank you, sir. Major Billy Downer from the Department of Natural Resources, SC Wild, here on Sports Talk. That'll do it. Thank you, Pat Daniel. Great job back in Columbia. We'll join you tomorrow night once again from here in Chicago. Have a lot of great stuff for you tomorrow night. We'll see you then.